Hello and welcome. My name's Angela Davis and I'm the Forum Quilter. If you've never been to my channel before, welcome, enjoy. If you are a regular, thank you so much for tuning in again. Today we're going to talk about the quilt behind me, and I'm calling it Starflower. And I normally don't name my quilts, but I felt as though this one just sort of talked to me. What I did was I went into the basement as part of my stash busting series to choose fabric, and I came up with the print in the middle. And I normally start with one fabric and then choose colors from the main focus fabric, what I call a focus fabric. So when I picked this one, I knew I had the pink, that great bubblegum pink, and I knew I had the white. And in this situation, I'm using a 100% cotton percale sheet that I found brand new at the thrift store, still in the package. So I really lucked out there. So I had quite a bit of the pink and I had a lot of the white, but I only had maybe almost 2 yards of the print. I would say 1 3/4. So I started out making a basic quilt, cut 8.5 inches. My sashing strips cut 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and my cornerstones cut at 3.5 inches square. And I started to lay it out, and I got it on my design wall, and I said, this isn't working for me. I felt as though it needed something more. And I also felt, although this would be a great beginner quilt, I felt as though, number one, it needed something more. And I also felt that by adding these points on the end of the sashing strips, that would be a good way to introduce another element for beginner quilters and how to create a star with those simple points on each end of the sashing strip. Once you have your lattice strips, all the star corners finished, you're going to lay it out, and then you're going to just sew one row to another, and you will continue on until the quilt is finished. Once I got the stars put together and I got the quilt laid up on the board, I was really, really pleased with the effect of the stars. I knew I had made the right choice. So I sort of let the quilt, what I call, talk to me. And once I got the stars up, I thought, well, you know what? I think I might just put the plain border on. I knew I had enough white and I knew I had enough pink. And I only had like maybe a third of a yard left of the print. So I knew I couldn't use the print on the border. So I thought, well, I'll just do the inner border in pink and the outer border in white, or the inner border in white and the outer border in pink. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. For this quilt with this beautiful floral, I thought, what if I extend the floral to the border? What if I add some applique flowers and leaves? So of course I went to my books and I came across this one. It's by Gwen Marston. It's called Classic 4-Block Applique Quilts, a Back to Basics Approach. Copyright 2005. And basically what she does is she takes inspiration from antique quilts and she shows you how to do her interpretation of it. So for example, in this one, it's called Turkey Tracks, and it's a pieced block in the middle, but the maker, this was made circa 1875, but the maker put on one applique border, just one. And so the author talks about that sort of folk art style. And she also talks about how to cut flowers and how to cut leaves and how to cut flower pots. But she really talks about how to take a pattern. And for example, this one, it's all applique, but then she does a pieced border. So she talks about mixing those two elements. And I really like that idea. So I thought, what if I do some half square triangles along the bottom and top and along the side, and then do the outer border in an applique, sort of in a folk art design. So I drew my own flower and I drew my own template for the leaves, and I also drew a little circle flower as well, just to add an extra touch, an extra element. As I was working on this quilt, it was really inspiring me to continue to do more, to hone in my skills, because I really love the effect of doing the pieced inner quilt with that applique border. And or maybe the next one I'll do will be an applique quilt with a pieced border. But the point being is, this flower right here, this simple little pink with a little purple flower, really inspired me. And it all started with the fact that I wasn't happy with the humdrum sashing strips with a cornerstone. And I wanted to do something else. It just didn't feel like there was enough. And I thought, well, what would be the next step in learning about making a quilt would be adding those corners to a strip, or you could add corners to a square to add more interest. And so I thought that's the next step for a beginner quilter. And that's where the stars came from. And as far as the applique goes, the flowers and the applique shape and the circles and the size of my leaves are they're not precise.
Because it's in that folk art style, it's okay if one side of the leaf maybe isn't as curvy as the other side, or let's say one curve of the petal on the flower doesn't have the same curve as the next petal. That lends itself to the uniqueness of the folk art style.
I've always been attracted to when I look at vintage quilts. That little quirkiness, of the individual person working on it. And I often wonder, was this a woman getting on in years? Was her eyesight waning? They didn't have the comfort of glasses like we do, or contacts, or the lighting that we do, but they still made quilts. They weren't perfect, but they still made quilts. And so it's not perfect, but boy, is it beautiful. And I'm so, so happy that I started this journey. And it wasn't intentional. I mean, the whole journey was not intentional. It ended up being a journey, and I think for a lot of us, that's what happens, when we start a quilt. It ends up being a little bit of a journey for us as quilters, that bit of it's not doing it for me. It's just so humdrum. Well, let's add these corners in and make stars. Oh yes, I like the stars. And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute, what can I do with the borders? So I went through my books, and that's when I found this one. So I took inspiration from the new quilts in her book, that she drew inspiration from the antique quilts, And I'm really happy with this quilt, and it's by no means perfect. Some of these points match, and some of them sort of match. I'm okay with that. So there it is, Starflower, and it was a wonderful journey. And I'm thinking maybe down the road of doing a full applique quilt and doing a piece border. And I've never done that. But I'm thinking that needs to be my next step to, number one, increase my skill level with machine quilting, and number two, challenge myself as a creator. This one's been a journey, and an exciting journey, and it challenged me, it inspired me, and we're going to see more of this. And I'm really, really, really enjoying just having it draped over the back of the couch, and it's not even quilted. I don't even have it sandwiched yet. But the colors are just so sweet. I mean, that bubblegum pink, and the little vine and little leaves with that light blue background. It's just so pleasant to have in the living room, especially, it's the end of July, 90 degrees out today. I mean, how appropriate to have these beautiful flowers in bloom and not wilting from the heat, because that's what they're doing out there today. It's 90 degrees out, and the flowers are wilting, let me tell you. We're all wilting from the heat. That was my journey with the Starflower quilt. You enjoyed this video? You know what to do. Give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos. My name's Angela Davis, and I'm the 4M Quilter. And remember, why sleep when you can sew? Oh, working on a pattern for this one. Not done yet, but I'm working on it. I'll let you know. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Good night.